guys hear me? And you can hear me, guys. That's all that matters. The audience of one. 4, 6, like, yeah, probably 12 people. All right, we hot? Yay. Hey, welcome. Thanks for coming in today. Okay, we're continuing on with the book of Mark. So welcome back. I hope you've been following along. It's been kind of interesting the last couple of weeks as Jay and everyone has been teaching. They've been stealing the stuff that I've spent a long time putting together. Which is interesting. So I've been writing notes in there what they said, and it's also interesting because they'll be able to Jared's. I don't see him, but it's always fun when people like take a deep dive and say, "Hey, well, here's what I saw in there." So feel free to fire right back because there's some things that Jay said that I'm gonna tack on here as well. We're going to be in Mark 14, 1 through 52, and we're going to spend the entire time there. Not going to be flipping around very much. I'll cite some other scriptures that we'll use as we go along, but it's not really where the meat of what we're going to be talking about today goes. So super interesting. So we're going to be in Bethany, Garden of Gethsemane, and Jerusalem. I keep pointing back there. It's here. But there is, trust me, it's back there also. So we're going to start out here. So my Bible says Jesus anointed at Bethany. So we're going to start out reading Mark 14, 1 and 2. And here's the question I'm going to ask. So if this, you guys, most of y'all have been here. The way this class works is I'm going to ask a question and then you guys can respond to it. Or if I'm talking and you guys say, hey, stop talking, let me interject something here, also perfectly acceptable and will help us all to grow a little bit more. This is my favorite class to teach because of that reason right there. Number one is I've got to be on my toes here because, I mean, we got, I don't know how many deacons and elders and former ministers are in this room, but it's a wealth of information and knowledge. Mark 14, 1 through 2, the question I'm going to ask here is why does Mark mention the Passover feast? Now, the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread were only 2 days away. And the chief priests and the teachers of the law were looking for some sly way to arrest Jesus and kill him. Not during the feast, they said, or the people will riot. So why mention the Passover feast there? Who's the audience for this book? Sorry, say it loud. Jews. Where?
In Jerusalem.
Jews in Jerusalem. So it's the Roman, the audience for this book is actually Roman Gentiles. From Mark, and that's what my Bible says here. So when you look at this, so Jews would know what's going on. You know, when they see this thing, they would say that okay, they would know what the Passover feast is. They would know this other stuff. But this is written to Roman Gentiles who have no idea. They probably have some idea. They know the Jews all go and do a thing. So what they're doing here is they are, They are what Mark's doing is and you see him kind of explain little drops and nuggets here to the audience that he's writing to here. So writing to the Roman Gentiles. So here's the reason why, is you have this huge gathering of people, and so he's explaining to the Roman Gentiles there. And then this Feast of Unleavened Bread. Does anyone know how long that lasted? A week, 7 days is how long so. Hey, spoiler alert, in the Bible, if somebody asks you how long something lasts, it's usually 7 days. So, or 3. So those are your choices. But, or 40. 40 is a good one too. So, but yeah, I mean, or all of the above. If it's 7 times 7, we can go into that. So what this does is it puts a timer on the betrayal of Jesus. So, because you can't do it, because you got 7 days that they're going to have this huge feast. So we got to get this thing done before this 7-day timer kicks off, because you can't go kill somebody during the feast. That's not kosher. That's a little Judaism joke for you there. Speaking of interesting things, have you guys ever heard of Copilot or like the AI software? Anybody? Okay, so we just got this introduced at work. I brought my computer home on Monday, and everyone's been using these PowerPoints. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be the kid that doesn't use PowerPoints. So I sat down and it said, hey, would you like help building your PowerPoint? I said, shh. what can you do that I can't do? And so I said, I just typed in Mark 14, 1 through 52, and said, this is good for business, not for theology. No way. And it pulls up like the most beautiful, it's 30 pages. It hits all the high points. And I'm sitting there thinking, I spent like 3 or 4 hours studying, cross-referencing, commentaries, and it just nailed all of it. So I used some of them, and I was just so disheartened. I threw it away, and then I came back to it. I was like, actually, that was a really good slide. I should probably just throw that up there anyway. So I won't tell you what's me and what's Chat GPT or Copilot here, but it's enough to where I'm feeling pretty down on myself that I'm not as smart as a computer. We're going to be in Mark 14, 3 through 11. So there's your setup for where we are here. Mark 14, 3 through 11 says this. While he was in Bethany, reclining at the table in the home of a man known as Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume made of pure nard. She broke the jar and poured the perfume on his head. Some of those present were saying indignantly to one another, "Why the waste of the perfume? It could have been sold for more than a year's wages and the money given to the poor." And they rebuked her harshly. "Leave her alone," Jesus said. "Why are you bothering her? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, and you can help them anytime you want, but you will not always have me. She did what she could. She poured perfume on my body beforehand to prepare my body for burial. I tell you the truth, wherever the gospel is preached throughout the world, this thing that she has done will also be told in memory of her." Judas Iscariot, this is the one of the 12, went to the chief priests to betray Jesus to them. They were delighted to hear this and promised to give him money, so he watched for an opportunity to hand him over. Okay, so we talked about it a little bit last week. So it says a year's wages is what it says here. New American Standard says, 300 denarii, something to that effect. So one denarii is one, denarii, is that saying it right? Anyway, pronunciation does not count in this class. So it's about a day's wage is what you're talking about there for one denarii. So what action did this woman take? This is something Pat talked about. There's 2 words for it. She did what with the perfume? Say it loud, I'm sorry. I'm anointed, okay. Anointed what? No, who anoints people? This is an aside. Usually the priest, right? Or a prophet or christen somebody. So what she did here, she there's Christ and Messiah, same word. The Greek word for anointed is is it Christos? Anyway, Christ, and then Messiah is the anointed one. So those are where you get this. So she Christed Jesus is what she did. How much of it did she give of that jar? Yeah. So there's something last week that we were talking about, and we were talking about this idea of giving. What you have, and it's funny, because I've seen people anoint people with oil, and they bring a little jar. I mean, elders, you guys have probably done this a time or two, or you're commanded to. I'm assuming you have. And usually you take that, you don't just break it and dump the whole thing on their head, that's you take it and anoint them. Very different what she did here with this incredibly expensive perfume. And this is what I was thinking about. Sorry, go ahead.
So it is a little bit different between anointing a person who is sick and perfuming a dead body.
Yeah. So there's a difference between anointing a sick person and preparing somebody for burial, right?
Jesus referenced burial here as well.
Yeah.
And you would put pounds of spices and perfumes on a body as they wrapped it up.
Yeah. Or a $40,000 jar of perfume. That's
Can you imagine what it smelled like in that place?
pungent, fragrant. Okay, so I try not to give Judas a hard time. I try really hard not to, because I think he was confused. Why? So it's interesting here. Why is at this point is Judas just done with Jesus?
He missed his chance at 300 denarii.
Yeah, there is. if 40 grand that just went out the window, yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Why is he just, because we know he stole from the coffers. So there's, go ahead.
More than the others, he's kind of seeing the writing on the wall. Like,
Yeah.
He's losing faith. He's like, this guy isn't going to come over. This guy isn't going to get the Romans out. He's not going to have a kingdom. Whatever he's doing is not. This is not what I really signed up for.
So what do you need for a kingdom? Like to start your kingdom? Because you need resources, yeah, money. Like $40,000 is a lot of money to start a political campaign, or to start a war chest. And you're exactly right. In Judas, and he's not the only one of the apostles who didn't get it, right? I mean, it wasn't until I don't think it was until sometime in Acts where they said, "Oh, this is what we're doing," after he rose from the dead. But I mean, he was still looking for that earthly kingdom, and so he's thinking. And so, what do you do in an earthly kingdom? Well, if you're a good accountant, you keep some money for yourself, on the side. Not a good accountant, a bad accountant. But it's not unusual for somebody to say, especially in, I don't know, like I know that other places don't quite handle money the same way that we do here, and maybe you have a situation there where if you are building a kingdom, you take some aside for yourself. That's your right. That's your due. So he missed out on that, and he's like, man, this guy doesn't get it. How are we ever going to overthrow the Romans if we don't have 40K?
The Luke version of it says Satan entered into it.
Oh, there you are. I'm sorry.
So the worldly part came out.
Yeah. So what version did you say that was?
That's in Luke.
In Luke. Okay. Yeah, it said Satan came over him. So it's this idea of the rule of the world said, this ain't the way this is supposed to be done.
Is it possible he was trying to start a rebellion, which is also something I mean, like.
Is it possible that Jesus was trying to start a rebellion, or Judas?
Was, like, because you could take it two ways. Like, for the first, wrong part of my life, I thought Judas was, he wanted money, he wanted, he was maybe in it the whole time to betray Jesus. And then, the last few years, just looking at the text and what he does afterwards, I wonder if he was trying to force Jesus' hand.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to bring about what he thought was happening, and he was like, we're here, this is the perfect time, this is, Jesus can do anything, he can heal people, he can whatever. If you look at Jesus' earthly ministry and his power and his ability to have, escaped the leadership trying to kill him for a while, you probably wouldn't think that he would get killed.
Yeah.
You're not thinking that Jesus loses in that battle.
Yeah.
And I think, the more that I look at the text and the more that I look at how Judas responded afterwards, that what he was trying to do was force Jesus' hand and bring the kingdom about quicker in the way that he thought.
Yeah. I think that's exactly, Judas didn't get it. He didn't get this upside down kingdom thing. That makes no sense to do the way that Jesus decided to do it.
But if he was just in it for the money,
Right.
he gives the money back.
Yeah.
He obviously feels, remorse later on, and he gives it back. So
Yeah.
if you're just thinking he wanted the money for himself, he didn't really care about Jesus, that part doesn't really make sense with how his actions
Yeah.
went afterwards.
Yeah, there was obviously some remorse that he felt going on, and we'll talk about that. So I'm glad you said that, because hopefully we get to how we're going to get to it. I say that every time when I run out of time.
Zach, I'm not sure,
Yep.
I'm not sure it was just Judas that was incensed about this idea of
Yeah.
putting up this perfume. Said
So,
some were indignant, so.
so maybe more than Judas was a little bit.
Judas is just the guy that spoke up, but we do know from other scriptures that he had some other motives that the others did not.
Yeah. Yeah. He.
It kind of goes to this whole misunderstanding of the disciples, we've just come from the garden, all the prayer time, and they've fallen asleep, because they just don't get it.
Yeah. They don't know this is about it, y'all. That's.
A weird scripture sandwiched in between the garden time and now we're going to have the Last Supper, as it were.
It is.
And you got this piece where we go to the house of a leper
Yep.
and a woman
Yep.
anoints Jesus. I mean, it's just,
That's not the way it should be done. It's a prophet that anoints a king, right? It's not a sinful woman that comes and does that stuff.
Very interesting, humbles us to think about it.
Yeah.
Before you're too hard on Judas, remember, they were all arguing amongst themselves who was going to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven.
Because they didn't get it either.
They don't get it either.
Yeah.
So, and as John points out. So don't be too hard on him.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
leave him out.
every time I try to get hard on Judas, I end up thinking, man, that poor guy didn't get it, man. It's like, because then I always go back to the forgiveness that was available to Peter was also there for Judas, and he just took took matters into his hand, like all of it. Just,
Well, let's not, I don't think we're being hard on him at all. I mean, I don't think we're being hard on him at all. It's total conjecture that he thought any of those things.
right,
He sought to betray Jesus. It says that twice.
yeah,
He wanted to betray him, and then he sought an opportunity to betray him. And I think one of the problems with us in the church today is that we try to justify our sin, or, we try to rationalize, well,
Yeah.
I have good intentions, or, God, why aren't you doing it the way I want you to do it? So, I'm hard on myself. I think we should be hard on ourselves about it, and we should be hard on him too. So, I'm not saying I wouldn't have done that like him. I'm certainly capable of that, but we don't really know. We're just conjecturing on what he thought about all this.
Yeah.
We're trying to give him, I think we're trying to go easy on him. but-
all right. Well, then I'm okay. I'm back to being hard on Judas then.
Sorry.
That's it.
Everyone questioned it,
Yeah.
apostles and other people, everybody questioned it. Judas acted on it.
Yeah,
That was the difference.
Yeah.
Acted on it.
and he's like, I can make something. I can make hay here. Let's get this thing done.
But also, how many times, I guess everybody else in this room, like me, get it all the time, right?
Yeah.
We've got it all the time?
No.
No.
It's like don't write a story about my life. That's like,
But we have the entire scripture,
Yeah.
and we still don't get it all the time.
yeah. Still don't understand that the kingdom ain't here. Like there's still people trying to build that kingdom. It is here. That's another class. All right, Mark. We're going to continue on here because there are some things that I want to get to. But we can come back to this if we have time at the end. Mark 14. Did I read that? 12. Yeah, 12 through 16. This is kind of a weird little piece of scripture here. So, Mark 14, 12. There it is. Okay. On the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, here's Mark again talking about feasts. When it was customary to sacrifice the Passover lamb, Jesus' disciples asked him, "Where do you want us to go and make preparations to eat the Passover?" So he sent two of his disciples and said to them, "Go into the city, and a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him. Say to the owner of the house that he enters, 'The teacher asks, where is my guest room so I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' He will show you a large upper room, furnished and ready. Make preparations for us there." The disciples went and did what he said to do, and found things just as Jesus told them they would be, so they prepared the Passover there. Okay. So we have the mention of the Jewish custom, so the Gentile readers in Rome would know what they're talking about here. So they don't slaughter anything inside of Jerusalem, they bring it all in. So what happens next? What's this little thing right here? Is this, you have multiple choice. Okay, is this a miracle that happened here? Or is it shrewd planning on Jesus' part? We have a little bit of an idea. What it's conjecture. We're going to conjecture here. This is what we do. This is what I do. Because I sit around and think why a lot. So follow me. I kind of feel like this is a Mission Impossible kind of moment. Like go up to the man and say the red bird flies at dawn, And so, I want to go down the road of this is a shrewd plan that Jesus has, and here's why. So they walk in, and where does this man take him? The guy with the bottle of water. Where does he take him? To the master. And what part of the master's house? And what's significant about that room? It's Jesus' room, y'all. Look. Am I wrong here? Yeah. He said, where my room at? You know, I've never caught that before I did this study here. So Jesus frequents this place, right? So he's got a room ready to go. So he obviously knows the owner of this house and says, this is where it's going to be. So you have this guy, and he goes in there the day before and says, look, I'm going to send 2 dudes in here to come and use my room. Remember that I told you to get ready for me? And they're going to ask you this question. You take them there. And I know that because it says, number 1, where is my room?
What
So,
verse are you looking at?
let's see here. 14. Say to the owner of the house, he enters. The teacher asks, where is my guest room so I may eat the Passover with my disciples?
Different,
New American Standard, what are you reading?
mine just says, where is the guest room?
The guest room.
Yes,
Okay.
doesn't designate that it was his room.
So what version are you in?
New King James.
New King James? Okay. What? ESV says mine. NIV says mine. I think the New American Standard says mine. We could look up the Bible Hub and find out exactly what it says. I'm almost positive it says mine in the translation.
Just to back up a little more before this new mind stuff,
Yeah.
it was really unusual for a man to be carrying water. And so just the whole idea, because you think the disciples would go, are you sure we're supposed to find a guy carrying the
Yeah.
water? Because it just didn't happen. And so even that is an unusual event that, at least they trusted.
Yeah.
And they said, okay.
So whatever you say, boss. So, yeah.
Another thing, hospitality was a huge deal for Jews at this time, and all of them living in Jerusalem knew 100,000 extra people are coming to this town. And if he has a house, he's already well-to-do.
Yeah.
There could also, in your conjecture world, it could also be that Christ just assumes that if a servant meeting his description leads them to a house, the guy has a guest room that can be used by a traveling group. Whether it's a miracle or not, they find the guy carrying a water bottle, and he takes them to a house that has a big enough room for the entourage of Christ. I do not know.
Yeah.
I grew up always thinking, when Jesus said, this is what's gonna happen, that was just evidence of his divinity.
Right.
I mean, he knew every step of the way until he got to the cross, and he knows every step.
So you're a miracle camp yeah, and that's fine. I mean, and I don't disagree. That's the way I've always read it also.
Well, his disciples would have thought it's a miracle.
Right.
That's his audience.
Yeah.
So it only matters what they think. So they're impressed that they run into a stranger and takes them right there, and the room's already prepared.
So here's more conjecture. If it is a shrewd planning, why would you go through all these lengths? Who wants to kill him at this point? All of the leaders in the Jewish faith, right? So they all want to kill him. So what you don't do, if a bunch of people want to kill you, is you don't tell Judas, who's in league with these guys, hey, we're going to go to George's house, and he's got in my room. That's where we're going to do Passover. It's conjecture. This is just stuff I've thought about. So again, it's not here anywhere. But it is. We know Jesus was a very shrewd man. He tells us to be shrewd with our things. You don't tell the dude that's about to betray you where exactly you're going to be and when you're going to be there. That is bad planning. But because you see at night, what happens next? At night, in 16, the disciples left, went into the city, and found things just as Jesus had said that they would. They prepared the Passover. And then, 17, it just says, when evening came, Jesus went with the 12. And so he walked straight there. So he knew, Jesus knew he was going because it's his house, it's his room. That's what I think. Okay. I wanted to pull up, whoops, wrong one. Something else here. Yes, ma'am.
Jesus had not, maybe Jesus arranged for this room so that it wouldn't be the same repeating of there's no room in the inn, because so many people
Yeah, because there's a bunch of people. How many did you say, Jay, did you say how many people flooded in? Was it 1 million, something like that, 500,000? A bunch more? So it ain't a whole lot of space with that many. It's like going to Norman and trying to find a place on game day. Maybe a little bit different. But you Lubbock people here, that's you like, Norm. Okay. Okay, so he waits till evening and walks straight there. Okay, I want to talk about Passover here next. We can come back to this stuff. Okay, so this is really weird, and so I did something totally different than what ChatGPT or what the AI told me to do, because I wanted to think about these things and a little with ponder some of these ideas of what were the disciples thinking, when Jesus messed up Passover. And I said that intentionally, not to be any way, but just exactly what he did. I'm going to read it, and then I want you guys to think about what was supposed to happen at Passover, and what actually did happen here. 17 through 26 says, when evening came, Jesus arrived with the 12. While they were reclining at the table, he said to them, I tell you the truth, one of you will betray me, one who's eating with me. They were saddened by this, and one by one they said, surely not I. It is one of the 12, he replied, one who dips into the bowl with me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe to the man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him to not have ever been born. While they were eating, Jesus took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and gave it to his disciples, saying, this is my body. Then he took the cup, gave thanks, offered it to them, they all drank of it. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many, he said to them. I tell you the truth, you will not drink it again until the day, drink of the fruit of the vine again until the day that I drink it anew with the kingdom of God. Then they sung a hymn and went to the Mount of Olives. Okay, talk about Passover. Do I have a slide for this? I should have had a slide for this. I don't. There's a slide that you get. So this is a 19-page document. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'd pull it out, but it's all stacked on top of each other. Here's a bit of Jenga. It's a 19-page document where I pulled off what is supposed to happen at a Passover feast. Anybody know what's supposed to happen at a Passover feast? I know you did. Yeah, that sounds about right. There's the two dudes that I would expect to know exactly what would happen. So you have the Seder plate, which is this plate. Gosh, I'm sorry. That plate there. And everything is very significant. You've got it's set up in each participant gets that. They get 4 cups of wine, and then you pour one out for Elijah the prophet. You have the candle lighting. There's 19 things here. I'm going to try to go through them fast. Plenty of time. You have a candle lighting, and then some very specific words are recited. You hold your cup in your right hand, and you recite some very specific words. You have the ritual hand washing is next. Then you dip parsley in salt water. And all this has a thing that goes with it. Then you break the middle matzah, and you keep one half of it for dessert, and you break it in the middle. You keep one half for dessert, and then you eat one. You tell the Passover story. A child in the group gets to ask 4 questions, and they're specific questions that they ask. You tell the story of the Passover again with the plagues. You have your second hand washing there. You have the blessing before the meal. And then you have the blessing over the matzah. Then you eat the bitter herbs. Then you have a little sandwich that you eat. And then dinner. And then you have the afikomen, which is a dessert. And then you say grace after the meal. Then you have a song. And then you have the closing section of another ritual piece of this. So and this is one of those things that every Jewish family does it the same way. Like these are just what you do in the Passover feast. So I can't help but think, with these apostles sitting around while Jesus is doing this thing, he starts to. It's one of those, they've been doing it since they were kids, and so they're in this upper room that they've prepared, and the teacher starts breaking this stuff, and they go, okay, and now we say this, and he goes, take, eat, this is my body. And that's weird, man. Like, what's Jesus doing here? And what he's doing is he's taking a very significant thing in the Jewish faith and making it a very significant thing for us today. And he's, just like everything else, he's changing the language in what the Passover means. But I can't help but wonder what is going on through the apostles' heads right now, because they're you know, it's kind of like anything else. Like you have, I'm sure you have traditions at your family luncheon or luncheon, Christmas dinners or whatever, and it's stuff that you do every single time. I mean, it just kind of like our Passover feast that we celebrate together with the communion, like, you know, separate and apart from the Lord's Supper. We know that's going to be said at the end of every single time. And you know, we have these ritual things that we do, and Jesus just takes all that and starts throwing in accusations. He starts throwing in new things that come along. Take, eat, this is my body. This is the blood of the covenant, poured out for many. Just a very strange thing that he does here. Must have been odd. I can't help but think it must have been odd. And then, you know, I think about what's interesting. Today, whenever Vaughn leads singing, we always sing during the passing of the cups. And I was thinking that's kind of like what they did here, you know, with the Passover. And that's just an aside. That just came to me while we were singing songs. That's a big part of it. But that whole number 26 there, they sung a song, and then they went to the Mount of Olives. And that little throwaway verse there it marked the end of something, and then the start of what has to be one of the most interesting walks ever. And I want to talk about that walk a little bit. So before we leave the Passover, any thoughts on that? Yeah. Oh, 2 thoughts. Okay.
Did your 19-page report indicate how long this would normally take?
It did, but I didn't write that part down. You know what? How?
When I've done a Messianic Passover, it takes typically 3.5 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
To tell the story. 3 to 6 hours is normal.
Yeah, 3 to 6 hours. What'd you have?
So you have to think that Jesus is now saying, I am the Passover.
Yeah. Jesus is now saying, I am the Passover lamb.
This may also be a cliff notes of what he's giving us. They didn't do the whole 3 or 4 hours thing. And so he's setting a precedent here of, I am now the Passover lamb.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt that they went, there's no doubt. I have no doubt that they did the whole thing. Jesus was a good Jew. Yeah.
At a previous church, we went through the Seder meal at our eagles. So just a thought that's some project that e-groups could take on and do. And it's really interesting to experience it.
Yeah. Because there ain't nothing wrong with talking about how God, you know, led his people out of trouble. I mean, that's a good thing to do.
We have to remember how radical that was, like you were saying. It was radical not only in the form, but also in what he said.
Yeah.
This is my blood. This is my body. If somebody came in and said that today, we would be like, are you a lunatic?
Yeah. So hey, John Cloudis, watch this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that because we take it every Sunday, I don't know that we understand the implication of what he actually said to them.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't supposed to drink blood.
Right.
Now you're saying
Yes,
drink blood.
yes.
It's like, hold on. If this is your blood, I can't drink it because I'm not supposed to drink the lifeblood of an animal. That's supposed to be drained, right?
But they're also used to him plowing new ground.
Yeah.
They've been watching him now for years, and they're just, I don't know why they'd be much more surprised at this than anything else that he did.
Yeah, it shouldn't be shocking at this point with Jesus. Larry, do you have something?
Yeah, I hate to agree with Vaughn, but that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay. So, well, I apologize. Yep.
I think it strikes us very differently than it struck them, because we don't sacrifice animals on the altar for our sins.
Right.
And so I think for Jesus to say, to use language that says, I am becoming the sacrifice. I'm about to go to the altar. It's Passover time, and I'm going to the altar. As Tucker said this morning, I'm carrying the firewood up the hill. And I think that hit them very differently. They're because they have done this every say those things, I think, hit very differently than it does for us. And I think we have a hard time with the idea of seeing Jesus as a sacrificial animal, fulfilling all of those sacrifices. We see the propitiation part, where he's taking our place, but we've never slaughtered an animal on an altar.
Right.
That was part of their experience.
I was just gonna say, you have just such a brief, clip of what's going on here in Mark. And we know it must have been radically different. I mean, you turn to John, and you've got 4 chapters dedicated, starting with foot, him washing their feet, and they're arguing, and then, I mean, it could have been a long, drawn out.
What do we say, 3 to 6 hours? I mean, that's, yeah.
And then they still have more to go, but, his teaching, and he's still teaching them.
Yeah.
They're still learning.
Yeah, Mark is, if nothing, if he's not direct. I mean, he gets the point on stuff. That's immediate, lots of immediacy language. Okay. Any thoughts on that? Okay. So they take a walk. The 26 through 31, this is what they do on their walk. When they sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. You will all fall away, Jesus told them, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. Peter declared, even if all fall away, I will not. I tell you the truth, Jesus answered. Today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. But Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the others said the same. So they took this stroll, and this is a terrible map. So it's a half a mile from the gate to the Garden of Gethsemane. And that's the path that they made a walk. So that upper room on the bottom right-hand corner, there's a couple ways they could have gone out. And so there's the upper room, if they take the most direct path, they're going to follow that little, right through the temple there, and then get out through the Garden of Gethsemane through that front gate. And that gate is called the Gate of the Essenes. And so you guys remember the eye of the needle? That's the same place. That's where he says right there. So if they were going to go through the middle of Jerusalem, that's the way they would have gone. Now, if he's still being shrewd and doesn't want to get caught, you don't go through the middle of Jerusalem. Where do you go? Well, you go out the bottom there. There's a way to go out, and then around the east side to the valley of Hinnom. And this is interesting. So right there on the southern side, you've got a trash dump where a fire state is burning, and so they're walking through and having this conversation. And there's, I think about this walk because you had just left. You had just left the upper room. You know what's going to happen. You're going there, and you're having this really dynamic conversation. What, half a mile, how long does it take you to walk half a mile? Like 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Right at it, So you're having this really intense conversation where, Peter's beating his breast saying, I would never do this to you. He's like, hey, yeah, and you're going to do it here in a few minutes. But I just think about that, like the cool of the night, walking through to get to the garden, and what that walk must have been like. So they get there. Anything on that before we leave it? So they either went by the trash dump or through the eye of the needle. Either way, he talks about the trash dump quite a bit in other places, or it's mentioned as part of where stuff goes to burn for eternity. Okay, Mark 14, 32 through 42. This is him in Gethsemane. They went to a place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. He took Peter, James, and John along with him, and he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. My soul is overwhelmed to the point of death. He said to them, stay here and keep watch. Going a little further, he fell to the ground and prayed, that if it is possible, that this hour might pass from him. Abba, he said, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. Then he returned to the disciples and found them sleeping. Simon, are you asleep? Could you not keep watch for 1 hour? Watch and pray that you don't fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak. Once more he went away and prayed the same thing. He came back and again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. They didn't know what to say to him. Returning a third time, he said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Enough. The hour has come. Look, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Arise, let's go. Here comes my betrayer. This piece has been talked about a lot. Jay talked about it last week quite a bit, this cup idea, the cup of wrath. Also, the cup is very significant in a marriage ceremony, in a Jewish marriage ceremony. So Daddy gives you a cup and says, if you want to enter into this commitment with this man, you drink from it. And so the woman had a choice to drink from it or not. She typically did. That's part of this deal. Is like sealing of the covenant here is taking this cup and drinking that wrath upon you. Let's see if I've got a slide for this one. Yes, deeply distressed Jesus. Okay. Oh, we just ran out of time. It's my fault. I knew we were going to run out of time. Okay, this is something that is interesting to me. So we're going to wrap this up, and I promise you we'll get through it. But something to think about with the kiss. Just as he was speaking, Judas and one of the 12 appeared with a crowd of armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal to them. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him and lead him away under guard. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, Rabbi, and kissed him. The men seized Jesus and arrested him. Then one of those standing near drew a sword and struck off the servant's ear. Am I leading a rebellion, said Jesus, that you've come to me with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I was with you, teaching in the temple courts. You did nothing, but the scriptures must be fulfilled. Then everyone deserted him and fled. A young man wearing nothing but a linen garment was following Jesus. When they seized him, he fled naked, leaving his garment behind. So this kiss, this kiss is mentioned 6 times in the Bible. This word kiss. It is a fervent and tender kiss that is given. It is mentioned here with Judas. There. It is when Paul is leaving. I forgot what that was. Thank you. Yes. In Acts 20, when Paul is leaving, they kiss him fervently and tenderly. The woman who wet Jesus' feet kissed his feet fervently and tenderly. And that last one is the 6th time. I don't know if it's the 6th time, but it's the prodigal son, the way the father kisses the prodigal son. So that changes this kiss to me a little bit, because I've always thought of it as coming up and, saying this is the guy. But this is an embrace, right? I mean, it's an embrace. This is a very fervent and tender thing that's going on here. I think about the love of this woman for Jesus, the guys that didn't want Paul to go, the prodigal son's father. I mean, Jesus came in, walked into this fervent and tender kiss, and just owned it. Of course, that's Jesus has got to be thinking. I mean, we talked about this earlier. Judas has got to be thinking, look, I've seen this guy Jesus vanish through a crowd. So, once I get him here, we got to get him, make this thing done. So I think the last thing he expected to do was have Jesus walk up and say, all right, kiss me, brother. Let's do this thing. Let's do what you came to do. So anyway, something I was thinking about. We're out of time, and I'm super sorry that we can't talk about more that stuff. But just something else that I thought was kind of interesting. Peter striking the sword or striking the ear off. We know it was Peter. We don't know it from here. So why don't you say it was Peter here? Huh?
It's his story. Yeah.
It's his story. Yeah. Well, it's also written to the Romans or the people in Rome. So if Peter's in Rome and they say, "Aren't you the guy that struck the servant?" It's like, that's a capital offense. You're not supposed to do that. So maybe to protect Peter, but more likely because it's his story, and he didn't want to be indicated or as that guy. The weird part,
It was just common knowledge at that time.
yeah, that it had already become known that Peter was the guy. The last one, the guy that's his cloak is taken, ran away naked. Say maybe John was that guy. There's really, there's questions about who that is. It's also like what kind of, people are following Jesus if you just have a linen cloth around you. It kind of gives you a little glimpse of what his followers might look like.
Some people think it may have been Mark himself.
Right. That there's the Mark camp, there's the John camp, there's,
And it's odd that Mark is so direct, but he includes this little tidbit.
yeah.
By the way, that the naked guy followed.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's a weird little detail that's thrown in there, and I haven't decided what to do with that yet. Yeah. Let's pray and then go get kids. Father, thank you for your gospels. This is good news to hear. Lord, we are thankful for the opportunity to talk about. Look at this in ways that maybe we haven't before. See what this tells us about you as our Father, and Jesus as our brother and Savior, and the way that your plan has come together to free me from a life of sin and death. We are thankful for your plan. It's a good plan. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Hey, man. That's there's the naked guy, naked slide. That's